Ready?
What's going on? I apologize for the several week hiatus. I was getting some angry messages in the DMs waiting for the show to be back, but we're back to regular scheduled programming. Going to do a props episode with my guy, Munaf Manji, another guy that's been requested. You've been actually requested by name. Also that dude with a beard to come on. So joining me from the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is Munaf. How's it going?
It's going well. I know you and I have been trying to cook up some long shot parlays. Gotten pretty close, but yeah, glad to be back here with you. I know you've been a busy bee, but yeah, glad to be back on the show.
Yeah, speaking of Colby Parkinson, totally ruined that one. And ironically, and he landed himself on the no bet list. He really screwed us that week, to be honest. So there will be no Colby Parkinson props for me today.
Yeah, no Colby Parkinson. He's on the ban list right now for us.
Yeah, it's a no for me, dog. What's the temperature check before we get into it on, I'm going to say our Houston Texans, because I can't, my football team is not going to be discussed much anymore on the show. 5-2. What's the temp check? Because people are starting to be like worried, and I'm not as worried, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm not as worried. I think the biggest thing for the Texans is that we're missing Nico Collins right now, right? With the hamstring injury. I know before he got injured, he was leading the league in receiving yards. And obviously, when you're missing your number one wide receiver, your offense is going to take a little bit of a step back. But also the fact that Joe Mixon did come back and he's looked really good. I think it's only one or two games that we had both Joe Mixon and Nico Collins together. So hopefully Mixon's able to stay healthy until we do get Nico Collins back. But hey, if I told you we're sitting at 5-2 after, the first almost close half of the season, I would take that every day to the bank. But I still feel like the offense is not firing on all cylinders yet, which is kind of the scary part. So hopefully we get that fixed.
I kind of like that, though, because I think we're going to look back, and we're at that point this season where hopefully some teams didn't peak too early, because there is something to these teams that find their rhythm a little bit later on in the season and let that lead into the playoffs and beyond. So I'm still comfortable with the Texans. 5-2 is a great record. They're playing better than a lot of teams in the league, which is, I mean, the football is atrocious kind of across the league in general. They're 5-point favorites at home versus the Colts. The Colts look horrible. They're they fall into the horrible category. Anthony Richardson doesn't look great. Did the Colts stand a chance here?
I think it depends if they do get Jonathan Taylor back this week. I did see that he's practicing this week, if I'm not mistaken. Right. But I think when these two teams have played since CJ Stroud took over last season, the games have been pretty close, right? We saw it last season at the end of the year, which was pretty much for the AFC South division. If they would have converted that fourth down to the Colts, we would have been a different conversation right now. But they didn't. That first game in Indy was a close game. It was like a 2-point victory for the Texans. I think they can keep it close here. I haven't been very comfortable laying points with the Texans outside of a field goal here. So I think this could probably be another field goal victory here for the Texans. I would probably look at the Colts plus the points, but I do think we get the outright victory. We just haven't been very good against the spread thus far this season.
Yeah. I feel like this could also be that dominant win that we've kind of been waiting for.
Yeah, it's a division game. Yeah,
I could see them kind of flip it around. They still have some tough games on their schedule, but also some pretty easy matchups sprinkled in there. So I don't know. This is the turning point for them. It could be where they start to get their mojo back a little bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to see their schedule, but I know we have a Thursday night game coming up. I don't think it's next. Yeah, it's next because we're going to be on a short week then. Then we go to MetLife to take on Aaron Rodgers and the Jets there. So
yeah, that's not scary to me.
Yeah,
by any means,
I don't think so either, but I think we do get the victory though. I'll say that much.
Yeah, I'm with you. Cooper Kupp. I don't know what's going on. First of all, I think the Stafford stuff seems like it's not. I don't think he's getting moved. Do you think there's anything real behind that?
I think Cooper Kupp does get moved.
Me too.
I thought it would be the Chiefs, but they went out and got former Texan DeAndre Hopkins there. I don't know how much he has left in the tank. But obviously they needed help at that wide receiver position with all the injuries that they've been dealing with. No Rashee Rice. They didn't have Hollywood Brown at the beginning of the year. Travis Kelce, maybe, I don't want to say more focus on off the field stuff, but No, he has his podcast with his brother. Obviously, all the Taylor Swift stuff there as well. So they needed some sure hands, and they went out and got that with DeAndre Hopkins there. So if he's able to find the fountain of youth there, I mean, that's going to be huge for Patrick Mahomes, especially this week. I know we'll talk about it in a little bit, going up against the Raiders. So I think Cooper Kupp does get moved. It'll just be interesting to see which team comes out and gets him.
Yeah. The favorites right now to get him are the Steelers. I'm going to ask you about the Steelers, and this has nothing to do with the fact that my team is playing them this week. I think that they will get their asses handed to them just as they have. Like, I am not, this has nothing to do with the Giants before everyone comes after me, although it's kind of one of these spots where the Giants find ways to win. Don't think that's possible this time without a left tackle. Yeah, Steelers are the favorite. Where are you at with the Steelers? Because I like the Steelers.
Yeah.
I liked a lot of the pieces on the Steelers. I like the Steelers defense. I haven't been a Russ fan for a couple yeof years. I can't buy it. I don't know why. Like, I can't buy into it. Help.
It's because of the two quarterbacks. Like, we saw what Justin Fields was in Chicago, and then at post, I mean, since I guess they won the Super Bowl in Seattle with Russell Wilson, or you can say when he went over to Denver, like, he's been a shell of himself, to say the least. I mean, this guy was in conversation of being a top 3, top 5 quarterback when he was in Seattle, but after that, he's just kind of fallen off the face of the earth. But I understand your hesitation because you're kind of waiting for that game for him to come out and throw for 175 yards and 3 picks. And is it going to be in this game? It's possible. I mean, your front line has been playing really, really well this season. So, I mean, we've seen crazier thing happen. The defense is playing really well. I'll say that much. I think if they go out and get one more receiver, maybe if it's a Cooper Kupp or maybe somebody else. We saw George Pickens come on last week with Russell Wilson. This team could be scary. I mean, the expectations at the beginning of the year for this team was that they would finish last in that AFC North, and here they are knocking on the door with the Ravens for first place in AFC North. I know, so we got a long way to go here, but I'll buy in on the Steelers. I mean, when you have Mike Tomlin as a head coach, you always have a chance. You know that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm looking right now to see if, and they probably won't because it is. I just remembered I honestly forgot that the Giants were even playing Monday night because that is how checked out I am. I will tell you right now, I have not shut a game off in the first quarter in a long time.
Why are they getting so many primetime games? I don't understand.
Just the New York market. They probably thought it was going to be better. Malik Neighbors. Yeah, we still have everyone. Tune in Thanksgiving. It's not done yet. Like, it's there's still more Giants games coming your way. I saw Craig in the chat say, I hope Russell and George keep it up. I just literally made a note to check his longest reception. I will definitely be betting on that this week. After the Steelers, Chargers plus 400, Bucks plus 600, Lions plus 700, Falcons 16-1. Any of those interest you Cup wise?
Ooh, say those teams again.
Okay, you got Chargers plus 400, Bucks plus 600, Lions plus 700. I don't see that one, to be honest. And then Falcons 16-1, Commanders 18-1. I don't know.
Commanders make sense. They need somebody else to cross Scary Terry there. I think a lot of the conversation, just because of the injuries with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Yeah.
It makes sense, right? Just because they need receivers. We don't know. Or obviously Mike Evans will be probably out this week at minimum. Chris Godwin's done for the year. And then you have a whole bunch of guys that you're trying to plug and play there. I know that Jalen McMillan had a lot of hype coming in to this season.
Don't talk shit about Sterling Shepard right now, all right? Listen, God, I can feel it coming. Don't you dare. Don't
But you need I'll say this, you need the Bucks need a number 1 wide receiver. I'll put it that way.
And as much as Baker is balling out, and I love Baker, like, I love this resurgence that he is having. I think it's a beautiful thing to watch. You also have to take into account the weapons that he has, and that's a big piece of it, and what he's playing behind, who he's playing for. Like, I think that's a big piece of what he has, which is great. I don't want to totally downplay it, but he's definitely going to be up for a little bit of a challenge. McMillan's an interesting piece. I think we see a lot of him. Cade Otton he's starting to get really hot this season. That's someone I'm going to look to pick up probably in fantasy. Who's your best bet then on the Bucks to, like, kind of somewhat? You can't really seal the Band-Aid of a guy that's, like, having a career year. It's really
I think you mentioned Cade Otton. I mean, I had his over 37.5 in that game on Monday night against the Ravens. And
Yeah.
as soon as Mike Evans went out the game, and I mean, they were in a situation where obviously where they're trailing by multiple possessions, they have to throw the football. But Cade Otton made some really nice catches. He went
Really
from
nice
like having what was that, like 17, 18 yards to finishing the game with 100 receiving yards. I don't know, again, they were playing from behind and they were in prevent defense were the Ravens, but I think that might be the guy you want to pick up on your fantasy team. I know I already have him on one of my fantasy teams, but I think that might be the guy that steps up for the Tampa Bay Bucks, barring a trade if they do make one.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to see what they end up doing. But let's talk about Thursday Night Football. Rams 2.5-point home dogs. I will add in before someone brings it up, McVay is very good on Thursday Night Football, 6-2 straight up, 5-2-1 against the spread. Normally, I don't love these type of trends and numbers, and so be it. But on a short week, I kind of think it does matter here. Vikings off their first loss, kind of due, headed to SoFi. Looks like Hawk might be back, and I think that that's actually a bigger piece than a lot of people are realizing as well. I'm worried that a lot of the Rams love this week is actually coming from this whole, the trend that every team that plays the Lions the next week, they don't cover. There's a little bit more to that than just like, it's a fun trend, but I think like I kind of lean the Vikings here.
I mean, I don't blame you for leaning towards the Vikings. I mean, look, they took their first.
It, to be clear.
But. Yeah, they lost their first game to the Lions, and those two teams obviously know each other very well. Being in that same NFC North division, it was a great chess match between Brian Johnson and Brian Flores, and it was a very efficient game for Jared Goff. If this was 3, obviously, I think everybody would be on the Rams here. And like you mentioned, Sean McVay's been really good on Thursday night footballs as well. But that trend that's going around, 0-4 straight up, 0-4 against the spread, 3-1 towards the over. I'll play the Rams here. I wish it was 3. I think they can get the outright victory. I think this is a tall order for them coming off of a division game, whether it was against the Lions or if it would have been somebody else, having to travel to the West Coast where the Rams were at home, got to sleep in their beds, whatever the case might have been for them. But I think this is an opportunity for the Rams to get one here against the Vikings. We may here start seeing the downfall of Sam Darnold after how incredible he's been over the first, 5 weeks.
The last 2 weeks have not looked as pretty as
yeah. And the crazy part is, like, they were against some good opponents.
They were.
Like,
but that's what I'm talking about. There's also the like peaking late and peaking too early thing is like kind of a big deal. And I almost wonder if I was talking to a couple of my friends that are Vikings fans. Mm-hmm. That bye week, like, did that kind of
came at the wrong time?
Like, come at the wrong time, actually? Like, should they have waited? Because I kind of think, in hindsight, I wish they would have waited until a little bit later because they were on a roll.
Yeah, and when we talk about those bye weeks for some teams, like the Dolphins, it came at the right time because they were dealing with so many injuries. Right. I think more than likely you get Tua back this week. I know they had the bye week last week, but and then like for the team like the Vikings, man, they were just rolling. The defense was playing well. Sam Darnold, Justin Jefferson, Aaron Jones. It seemed like, hey, just give them the Super Bowl trophy right now, the way that they were playing football. But yeah, it's when those bye weeks kind of creep up on you, which is funny because there's no teams on bye this week, which I found kind of interesting.
None, I know. There's a lot of football.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, just for the game, I'd go Rams as far as the side goes.
Yeah, I'm probably not touching it either way here. The total is 48.
Seems high.
It seems a little high. Yeah.
It seems high, especially I think if the Rams
don't even know. I didn't even are the Rams even scoring a lot of points this year? I guess I didn't even fully.
They only scored 20 last week against the Raiders. Okay. And that was off of, I think they picked off.
They wanted to lose that game really bad last week too, kind of towards the end. There was they could have very easily lost that game, kind of.
Yeah, I don't think they've scored very many points this season, honestly. And I think that if they do win and cover this game, I think it would have to be a lower scoring game. I think the only game they scored 40 plus was against Arizona, if I'm not mistaken, early this season in that division game. Let me see.
And the Rams O-line against Brian Flores like feels like fucking hell, honestly.
You would expect them to bounce back after giving up 31 to the Lions in their last game.
But I feel like that's just maybe they're one of those teams that like when it comes to the good teams, we're not going to see that. But they played good teams, so I can't even say that. It's not even a factual statement. So
yeah. So I'm sorry, they gave up 41 to the Cardinals, but they've only scored 20 or more just twice this season. Raiders last week, and then they scored 27 against the 49ers in week 3. So
I don't know. Total probably
which was a game that 49ers gave away, but yeah, I would look at the under, but I think I would be more interested in some of the props in this game, honestly.
Oh yeah. The props are what I would love to talk about. I'll let you go first. I'm going to take a guess right off the bat that your first prop is going to be something that I have also either have taken or have written down. But go ahead.
So I have a couple here, and you and I love our longest receptions.
Oh yeah.
I'm going Tutu Atwell, longest reception over 19.5. The Vikings have allowed at least one wide receiver every single week to have a reception of at least 25 yards or more. When you talk about Tutu Atwell, he's been on this roster for a couple of years now and has that rapport with obviously Matthew Stafford. I know you're getting Cooper Kupp back, but even Sean McVay came out and said that, I don't know, and what we'll see. He says on how much they utilize him, obviously amid coming back from the injury and the trade rumors there as well. But Tutu Atwell's been the guy. I couldn't talk you off of the over on his receiving yards. I believe it was 39.5.
Yeah.
But he's gone over this number in every single week. 48 against the Cardinals, 93 against the Niners, 82 against the Bears, 58 against the Packers, and last week, 51. So I see how that. I think it's a little bit correlated. I'm going to play both. I'm going to take the longest reception for Tutu Atwell over 19.5. And then his receiving yards to go over 37.5.
Yep, I'm with you. That was on my sheet as well. I must have found one at, I think I found 18.5 at Bet Rivers, but I also would play this. I think I would safely play this probably up to 20.5, to be completely honest. I see a lot of people doing these like over yards, under receptions. And I notice every year there becomes like a popular thing. I thought about it with him, but he's just getting too many looks. And even with Kupp back, I'm still kind of worried about it because he is such a dynamic piece of this offense. So I couldn't get there, but I am on the longest reception. I'll stay in the longest reception market. Jordan Addison, longest reception over 19.5 minus 115. He's very clearly being used as this just downfield threat. Like that is his role on this team. And the Rams have allowed more yards per reception than any other team this year versus opposing pass catchers. He's cleared this also like with ease. I think he had a 51-yard one last week. He's going over this. He's never had more than 3 receptions in a game. And it always comes towards like the end of the game. So he actually is someone that I'm considering trying out this over yards, under reception situation, because I think that he's more at play for that than Tutu. I think they're both interesting looks, but I didn't get a chance to see what that number is. I'll post that on Twitter later, or X, whatever people are calling it these days. But he's never had more than 3 receptions. Very interesting. It's like very on point. And even his targets, I don't think he's ever had more than like 6 targets, 4 targets a game.
I see 3.5 on his receptions, and then his yardage is at 44.5. So, I mean, doing the math there, around 15 yards per catch that they're expecting. So, I mean, you mentioned it last week. I was on Jordan Addison on his over, and it took that big catch for him to get over his yardage, just because the Lions have been really, really bad against slot wide receivers. Maybe we could talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, I couldn't talk you off of that. I like that for Jordan Addison.
Big fan. What else you got for this game?
Yeah, so let's go Aaron Jones on his rushing attempts to go over in this game. That number's at 13.5. It's up to 15.5 now. Because I bet it at 13.5 this morning, actually, when I did my show. So it's up to 15.5 now. But you take a look at running backs against the Rams this season, and it's been bad for the Rams rush defense, especially without Aaron Donald there. But opposing team, they're running close to 27 times per game against the Rams there. So I believe every single running back that they have faced has gone over this projection of 15.5 now. I believe the only week, every single week. Yeah. All 6 games. So yeah, over 15.5. It's at even money currently on DraftKings. Again, like we always say, definitely shop around, get the best number of it. 15.5 even money. Aaron Jones over rush attempts.
Yeah, and honestly, the only reason why I'm not betting the yards, because I do think it's in play, is this is just like everyone is on it, and I'm just not going to bet it for that reason. But I love that play there. The Rams are giving up, 4th most rushing yards per game. He's like obviously the clear RB1 here. I also like his role, it seems like it's decreasing a little bit, but he has been involved in their receiving game. So everyone's gonna think I'm insane, but I actually like his longest reception too. It's 12.5 minus 114. And I think if you look to play his receiving yards or his receptions, I think you're just getting a better, safer number. I know it doesn't sound like that makes sense, but he's cleared this in 5 straight, including a game he's only had 1 catch. So they're designing something for him. This is clearly in their playbook. So I actually like the longest reception for Aaron Jones. I like the rush attempts as well.
Yeah, the only one he didn't do was what against your Giants in week 1, but that was also week 1.
It's just Sam Darnold. Giants defense is so good.
Yeah. But like you mentioned, he's done it in 5 straight weeks. So the numbers are there. I couldn't talk you off. Charlie checked down, or I should say, with Sam Darnold there. So love it.
Gosh. Poor Sam Darnold. This week might get a little rough for him. Speaking of getting rough for him, how about some interception props? Because
that's another one I had.
Speaking of interceptions, tough games, I like them for both quarterbacks here, actually. If you parlay them, you get a nice plus 282 on ESPN Bet. That's the best number that I could find parlaying them. I probably only did 3 books, and then I got lazy and did not check any more. So you guys could check your own numbers. Best number I found as far as the numbers independently, Stafford plus 106 at FanDuel. I actually don't think that number is going to close that way. I could be very wrong. I'm surprised that it's sitting there like that. 3 straight games with an interception. So as Darnold had 3 straight games with an interception. Darnold only had 1 game without one. He's minus 110 at MGM was the best number I saw. These guys are both susceptible to it. I think Darnold makes a dumb mistake every single game. You're going to end up seeing it. And then the Vikings defense has just been good with the takeaways.
You could say the team that he didn't throw an interception against. Go ahead.
Who?
The Texans.
Oh yeah,
the Texans were the only team that didn't pick them off. But I mean, I like the.
I actually didn't add that to my notes because I was being respectful. That's really kind of me.
But I'm with you on this one. This was another one I had on my list here for him to throw interception. He's done it every single week except for the against the Texans. He's on the road here, short week. I think that he's probably, I don't want to say going to see ghost out there like we've seen in the past of what he said, but like we mentioned earlier, I think we're starting to see the decline of Sam Darnold, and maybe those rumors about Matthew Stafford were there for a reason because, again, they've gotten off to a great start. They have a great defense. He maybe throws a couple of interceptions in this game. Don't be surprised if there's some type of rumors circulating before the time we get to the trade deadline for the NFL.
I mean, can I be honest? I'm so pro the Stafford to the Vikings thing. I think that's sick. I think it'd be a nightmare for Detroit. I just think it's funny. I think I heard, and it all is obviously bullshit, but it was something about Darnold would be part of that. They talk about giving him a long-term, whatever contract, whatever it is. I don't know. Oh, look at, the bearded one. You're back. See, the people know. The people know. But yeah, I don't know. I think it'd be fun because I think the Vikings too, they have a little bit of a window open right here. Then you're going to bring in a rookie quarterback. You don't know what you're going to get out of him. Could be fun.
Yeah, it's a funny part is that I took the full season under passing yards for Sam Darnold, thinking that he would just be atrocious, and then we had the JJ McCarthy injury. I don't even know who the hell the backup is for the Minnesota Vikings at the quarterback position.
Nick Mullins.
Yeah. Okay. So we'll see. I mean, look, if you're a Vikings fan, I wonder how they're feeling after their start here. But yeah, let's hope Sam Darnold throws that one early and we could take that ticket to the bank.
Also, the people that watch the show, the first futures bet I fucking gave out, and I still know I will never get my flowers for this, and I won't yet, knock on wood, because it hasn't happened yet. But I gave out Vikings over 6.5 wins. So that was one of my favorite futures from the start. Did I know Sam Darnold was going to be the guy? No. But still, I still gave it out. I'm sitting on a KOC Coach of the Year 12-1 that I bet after week 2, I believe. Do you have any other props in this game that you like?
I think you already mentioned the Jones receiving yards. Yeah. I like that as well. But
would you play any of his alt lines, like a 30+, or is that too rich for you?
I would have to look at what he's done over the past couple of weeks here. As far as receiving yards, there was, I think, 3 games in there where he got over 30+, 2 games where he got over 40+. So yeah, I think there's a possibility there. I mean, look, like you mentioned, that they probably have games that are, or plays that are scripted for him, whether it's a screen pass, a wheel route. And if you even check down, he has that ability. I mean, we saw it for so many years when he was with Aaron Rodgers in the Green Bay Packers, that he has that ability to take it to the house if he's able to break a tackle here or there. So I think it's really going to be the Aaron Jones show here. I know he's dealing with a hamstring injury, but that was sustained, I think it was that London game a couple weeks ago, but he saw a great game last week against the Lions.
He's just getting old. Like, some of these guys are just going to fucking be old, and they're going to play through stuff. Like, I feel like everyone forgets about that around this time of the season. Like, there's going to be guys that just don't practice till the end of the week. Like, it's just, that's it, because they're just older.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, if you want to ladder it up, alt line here for Aaron Jones, I couldn't talk you off.
Okay. I like it. Okay. What about Kupp? Are you nervous about him, like, coming in a role that's like depleted, like only getting like 60% of the snaps versus what we saw, like his first game, 21 targets, 14 receptions, 110 yards. Granted, that game was in overtime, which people keep floating that out there, and like, let's add that in a little bit too as well. But the second game he got hurt, I think in the second quarter, had like 37 yards, but 4 catches. And the Vikings secondary, that was the one like glaring concern for me going into this year. And I think you're seeing what they're doing. Like, the last 3 games that they've played, the wide receiver ones, you had Reed 139 yards, Wilson 101, St. Brown 112. We know how dominant Kupp can be. We know the chemistry they has with Stafford. So I feel like for me, I almost like wouldn't even look to take his like receiving yards line. I would just rather go right to the alt lines. Like, if he's heavily involved in this game, like he's going 80+, 90+, 100+.
So that game that you mentioned where that was 14 receptions, that was also, let's not forget, a game where Puka Nacua left the game with that knee injury. Right. So Cooper Kupp was going to get all the targets there. There's a Twitter account that I follow and do a fantastic job. It's called the Coach Speak Index, at Coach Speak Index.
Is that good? Everyone says I should follow it then.
Yeah, I follow it religiously, just kind of see what these coaches are saying. But they also do they don't only just post what coaches are saying, they actually like give them grades on what they're saying and if it actually translates to the game, and like they have like a percentage of, you know, how accurate of what these coaches are saying. So I say all that earlier this week when they sat down, or when Sean McVay was answering some questions about Cooper Kupp, and they asked him, Cooper Kupp, will he have a full workload on Thursday? And Sean McVay, quote, said, "That's to be determined. That's something that'll be something as we're putting our plans together and really dividing it up. We'll have a better feel for it, but definitely excited to have him back." So to me, that can translate to, all right, maybe this week he may not have a full workload, and also those trade rumors are floating around as well. So again,
that's Cooper the thing Kupp. Too. Do they try to keep him healthy if they're going to trade him? Like, do they just display him and then kind of not play him in the second half? So that's where I'm kind of concerned here. So that's why, and I kind of, very different situations. I kind of did this with Saquon last week, because I thought he was either going way under his number, or I thought he was 100% smashing it. So I just took the 100+ and didn't play around with the rushing, because I thought there was a chance that the Giants did stop him, because they have been like holding running backs. But is this a situation where they kind of put him on display for the first 2 quarters, and then you don't see him? And that's where I'm nervous.
So, and then that's the thing, right? Because Rams came out and said, or the reports were that they won a 2nd round pick from, but they're also absorb the salary and pay for majority of it. And I think when a team come out and says that, like you mentioned, have him on display, first quarter, second quarter, looking like he's, the Cooper Kupp, that he's healthy. and that, a team comes knocking on the door or makes that phone call after their game that, hey, let's get Cooper Kupp, let's make a deal here. So I think I would want to stay away from it. I wouldn't want to bet an under for Cooper Kupp. I think it would be over or nothing for me. But that's kind of where I stand here with Cooper Kupp.
See, that was my concern, and now I'm like, I might stay away from it.
It could be a good live opportunity as well.
I think you're right. Yeah. Maybe something I look to after half or something like that.
Yeah.
Anything else in this game that you have before I start wrapping up and letting you get out of here?
I think that was all I had for this game. Yeah, I mean, I think Kyren Williams under maybe worth the look just because the Vikings rush defense has been really good this season. But I know he scored touchdown, 10, 11, 12 straight games he has. So that
and they've been good, but then you kind of look at who they've went up against, and it's kind of like you saw them play Detroit, and those guys, Gibbs had a really great game. So then I'm nervous. Like, is that a little bit of a facade that we're seeing?
Yeah. So I think I would consider the under there with Kyren Williams. But other than that, I think you and I mean, we're pretty much on the same page with the longest receptions with Aaron Jones. Hopefully it's a good game because we got a little bit of a clunker last week with Sean Payton being back in New Orleans.
Yeah, we're gonna have to make a parlay when we get off, and we'll post that on Twitter for sure. I also want to ask you about oh, this line's moved. Josh Allen has yet to throw an interception, and he's fucking pissing me off. I'm gonna be honest, he's fucking pissing me off because I haven't bet him, and then the last 2 weeks I have, and it's just not happening. And the first couple of weeks, there was plenty of opportunities, out of hands type situations. He's pissing me off. It has to happen soon, right? Because at this point, how many weeks can I bet it?
So I want to look at their schedule and see who they have coming up, at least defensively. I know they have the Seahawks this week. I don't think that's
not going to happen.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Then they have the Bills. I could see
they have that the game. Seahawks, Dolphins, Colts. Honestly, it's probably that Chiefs game because he's going to have PSD going up against the Chiefs after they've pretty much owned them.
He's going to make it that long. Josh Allen is going to make it that long without an interception.
God.
Come on. I refuse to believe that. I
think it may be Dolphins next week in the division game.
I'm betting it again this week. I'm betting it this week. I'm betting it next week. I'm going to keep betting it. I refuse to. He's pissing me off.
They got a pretty tough schedule coming up. I'll say that much because they got Seahawks. I mean, that's always a tough road trip. Then they got the Dolphins with Tua being back this week, supposedly. All right, they got an easy game against the Colts. But that's on the road. And then they got the Chiefs, they got the Niners, and then they got the Rams, Lions after that. So I think it's going to be the Dolphins game. I'll say that.
Okay, fine.
But you bet it this week because I'll probably be wrong about that.
I'm definitely going to. I'm also looking I wonder how much of a long shot he is to be the most interceptions thrown in plus 900 right now.
Oh, that's not fun.
It's not even
terrible odds.
It's a fucking horrible number. That's maybe the worst.
Mahomes is number one, right?
He's got to be, right? Let's see.
Yeah, because he has 8 on the season. I know that much, but I don't know if he's leading the league.
Does he have more interceptions and touchdowns? It's impressive.
He has 8 interceptions and only 6 touchdowns. Yeah, Mahomes is number 1. Or those 3 guys are tied. Mahomes, Love, and Gardner Minshew.
Mahomes is plus 115 to throw in this week.
Who do they play this week? The Raiders. Yeah, that's not happening. It's belt to ass week.
These numbers have to be wrong. It says he's 35-1 to have the most interceptions in the league. Even the Bucs are obsessed with Patrick Mahomes, apparently.
Jesus.
It's ridiculous. Do you have any favorite bets? I'll do my favorite props on the Friday show, but any favorite bet, early props that you saw that you liked?
Yeah, so I think one thing that I've been very successful with, and it's cash in all the games, and I mentioned this earlier, was really fading or betting on slot wide receivers against the Detroit Lions. Every single week, the receiver has gone over their yardage total. I don't think you're going to get this maybe till Friday when the injury reports do come out, because I did see Calvin Ridley, who did not practice today because of a foot injury. But the slot wide receiver there is Tyler Boyd, and he did have a pretty good week last week. And now obviously that workload for him is going to increase with the departure of DeAndre Hopkins. So I'll be curious to see what that number comes out for him again for Tyler Boyd, and they are going up against the Bills. Sorry, they have who the Titans have this week. Let me see.
They have
the Lions.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to be playing from behind. Obviously, that spread is double digits at -11 now. So even if it is, it's gonna be Mason Rudolph because I know that Will Levis is dealing with that injury. So I do like Tyler Boyd. I'll wait for that number. And I messaged you about the Patrick Mahomes thing. I mean, I'm playing his over passing yards, over passing touchdowns.
Yeah.
When a guy like that says it'll get dealt with when it gets dealt with, it's this game in Vegas here. I know they don't have the receivers, but I think DeAndre Hopkins should be ready to go in this game. Kind of having to play catch up, but I think Mahomes gets it done this week. I think I'll look at his overs. And we're going back to the well, right? Malik Neighbors over longest reception.
Yeah, have to do it. Have to keep doing it. This is one that I did actually look at. Evan Ingram against Green Bay. Green Bay has been giving up a shitload of yards to opposing tight ends. His line's at 48.5. He had an off week, but he should bounce back just fine. Here, other than that, I haven't taken a look at too much. Malik Neighbors, of course, longest reception. I'll definitely peek at that McMillan longest reception when that comes out as well.
I'll throw in Brock Bowers there as well. The Chiefs have allowed a lot of receiving yards. I think they're allowing the most to the tight end. I think Jacoby Myers is back this week for the Raiders, but Brock Bowers has been playing really, really well for that team. And I think with Gardner Minshew being back, I feel like the targets are going to be there for him again this week. Last week he's had double-digit targets over the last 3 weeks, 12, 10, and 14 last week against the Rams. So
where's Sam Laporta? He's just like non-existent, huh? Sucks.
Yeah, he was a fantasy darling coming into this year, right? But I think his workload may increase because we had that suspension for Jameson Williams, right?
Yeah, but you know what's going to happen? It's going to be like Khalif
Tim
Raymond
Patrick.
and like Tim Patrick.
Yeah. I think the bet for Sam Laporta is probably longest reception to go over.
Yeah. 100%. A lot of these, I swear that market is like, and it's kind of annoying because I actually am starting to hear a lot of people start talking about it, which sucks because I feel like these numbers are not going to be as good next year because people are catching on to them. And now you can parlay them on FanDuel. I can't believe I'm even fucking telling everyone that, but I am. So I'll put out there's this game on Thursday. We'll definitely need a longest reception parlay. Any basketball play before I let you get out of here and I wrap up the show?
Yeah, I posted 3 on my Twitter here. I'll make it quick here. I got the over in the Pacers and the Pistons game, over 235. Then I played 2 player props. I got my guy, Jalen Green of the Rockets, over 19.5 points. And then John Morant in the late game points and assists to go over 33.5. I just need the cosign from our producer, McKee, here, if he likes those plays or not, because he's a basketball junkie like me.
Let's see. Come on, Rye. What do you got? How's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Am I centered?
Yeah, you look good. Oh, you don't need to be centered to look good.
Oh, it's so good to be here. Yes, I fully endorse all of those plays. Nobody is a better NBA bettor.
Say that Munaf. 5 times.
Yeah, than Munaf. Munaf, I feel like you make enough money NBA betting that you don't even have to do anything else in life, but you do this out of love.
You can say that.
What? Steph, we're breaking news right now.
Yeah, we are.
We're breaking news on Munaf's income. This guy just went to Rome.
You did.
That but you like McKee, you know, like I've always been a basketball junkie. I mean, that started all the way back with SGPN. When we
Do you know how he got his start, Stephie?
You gotta say the story.
No.
Okay.
Do you know why I'm a Nets fan? I'll tell that story after, and then we'll wrap it up.
No. I'll allow Munaf. It's his story, so I'll allow him to tell it.
I'm gonna let you say it. I'm gonna let you animated.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you say it.
Here we go. Stephie, don't fall asleep on me. Okay, here we go.
Okay, don't make it a drawn out story.
I'm not. I'm gonna tell it quick.
Okay. Ryan and I are fighting right now, so we're not.
I had just started the NBA gambling podcast for SGPN. And Munaf, do you remember what the original name was?
The NBA Odds Pod.
Yes, NBA Odds Pod. We played around at SGPN.
Really creative.
Crazy. I know. Crazy. Woo, 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 woo. You said be more animated.
Okay.
So crazy. So I had just started it, and my guest that day had canceled, and I was just about to record, and I put out a tweet, and I said, my guest just canceled, and I don't know how to host a show by myself. Who wants to come on the show with me? Anybody who's available now. And Munaf responded, and who else responded? Do you remember?
It was God, I forgot who it was because I remember it was two of us on the pod. It's slipping my mind.
Wow, you guys are so rude. You don't even remember who else is. You guys have this very elaborate memory, and you don't fucking know who else.
I remember it was Papa Kamas.
Yes.
Who?
It was Papa Kamas.
Yes. Alan Cooley, yes.
It was Papa Kamas. Papa Kamas came on.
And you just started doing pods after that?
What's that?
Is that how you just started doing basketball pods, Munaf?
Yeah,
that was your first one, right?
That was my first one, and then McKee got another gig, so he had to make a move, and then he needed somebody to take over the NBA pod, and then he reached out to me and said, "Hey, you want to come and take over?" I said, "Yeah," and then rest is pretty much history, and here we are, still chopping it up.
Yeah, I got him into giving out picks because you were just betting by yourself at home, right?
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like he was doing just fine, richer than us.
But it was also the fact that McKee, I was doing those cheat sheets as well for the website at the time for NFL too.
Oh yeah, that's right. Well, you did. Yeah. You started doing that after.
Yeah, that was after. Yeah,
that was after. Yeah, so you did my thing first. That's how you got hooked up with SGPN.
Yeah. So if I ever make it into
you're welcome, America. I gave you Munaf.
It's got the Hall of Fame somewhere.
His nickname, the Machine, Munaf the Machine Manji.
Money's Munaf on this show, though.
Well, hey, whatever.
The bearded one. All right, let's wrap it up. I will have to do the Friday show early, so I will post what time we're going to do that. Thank you, Munaf, for coming on. Subscribe, do all the things. We'll get a parlay out. We're kind of due to post one, so I'll post it on my X tonight for tomorrow. And we'll see you guys Friday.
Watch him make it, break it, break it, break it.